Hello and welcome to Mick's Kitchen. My name is Michaela Brown, but my nickname is Mick, and this is my kitchen. I love the saying, if music be the food of love, play on. Well, today I'm going to share with you my love of cooking. Today I am going to go way back and bring out an old-fashioned recipe. My Grandma Brown used to make ham balls, ham loaf, all of the time. And it probably to this day is one of my favorites. But it's an old-fashioned one. We don't make it a whole lot anymore. But it's a really great one to take some leftover ham. You know, hams are big when you bake them. Sometimes there's lots of leftovers. I know that's the case for me. So I grind up that ham, I put it in baggies and stick it in my freezer until I'm ready to make ham loaf. And that's what we're gonna make today. Ham loaf is a mixture of two things. I mentioned the ham, and then we have ground pork. So I have 1 pound of ground pork. And being a farm girl in Iowa, I am partial to this recipe because we grow a lot of pork around here. 2 pounds of ground ham. And again, this was in the freezer. So when I'm ready to make them, I like to do big batches, and I'll buy lots of the ground pork. And then I thaw out the ham and I make a bunch of loaves all at one time, and I put those back in the freezer or give them to friends and family. Yes, my family has all gotten ham loaves for Christmas. I don't think they minded. So we have our pork mixture, and to that we are going to add 3 eggs. So the eggs are what's gonna hold it together. And then a cup of milk for the moisture. And then cornflakes. There seems to be an Iowa theme going on here. Pork, milk, corn. So 3 cups of cornflakes crunched up. So I did pre-measure this, and I just like to put it in a little baggie, and you know, if my brothers might be hanging around, I'll have them come crunch up the cornflakes, or nieces, nephew. It's a good job for kids if you want to get them into the kitchen. Give them the crunching job. So we're throwing this all together. I'm gonna grab the wooden spoon that I borrowed from Shelly Brown. You know, I don't know if some other kids do this, but I grew up cooking with this spoon, but it was my mom's, and then one day it just might have disappeared from her kitchen and ended up in mine. So I'm gonna mix this up really well. We want this really incorporated so everything is even. Because when we cut it in loaves, you don't want a big hunk of the ham all together because then it might crumble. So mixing it really well is key in this recipe. This looks pretty good. I don't see any chunks of one versus the other. So I think we have it mixed together very well. Now I'm gonna grab a 9x13 or a baking dish, although we're not gonna spread it out. This makes a pretty big batch. So you could do it on a baking sheet like this, or a 9x13 pan, whatever you happen to have. So we're gonna put this all down the middle. Now we're gonna form this up into the loaf. And this is where you can get creative. If you want, you know, shorter, thicker, you know, you can spread it out. If you want it taller, you know, scrunch it together, personal preference. This is the creative, fun part of cooking. It's making it look beautiful for your presentation when it comes out of the oven and you serve it to friends and family. That looks like a pretty nice loaf, if you ask me. Now we're gonna put this in a 350-degree oven for 70 minutes or until the internal temperature reaches 170. For the first 15 minutes, this is gonna bake as is, so we have a little time to make up that sauce. Now we're gonna mix up our sauce for the top. So in a small bowl, we have 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1/4 of a cup of ketchup. Start to mix that together so the sugar dissolves in the ketchup. This is almost a base of a barbecue sauce, but we're making it a little sweeter for a ham loaf. To that, we're gonna add some dry mustard, about 1 teaspoon dry mustard. Adds a nice little tang flavor. Here is a flavor that's a little new, unique to ham loaf, would be nutmeg, and we're doing 1/8 of a teaspoon. So just a little flavor of nutmeg, add that unique flavor to it. Mix those up, pretty easy, 4 simple ingredients. So now what we're gonna do with this glaze is after about 15 minutes of baking, I'm going to brush this on the top. It'll just keep baking and that'll seep right down into that ham loaf and give it a really nice glaze on top, and then finishing it off, just a real nice caramelized flavor on top of the ham loaf. If you want for serving it, you could double the recipe and have a little extra that you would drizzle over the top once you plate it, or pass it around the table, serve it if they wanted a little extra of that sauce. So you could add a little extra too if you like it with a little more flavor. And my dad always likes a little extra sauce, so that's generally something I would do. I would make a little extra of this because it's just good. So pull this out. Now I have this recipe on our website, so you can go and download it and make it for your own family. And it's also in my new cookbook called Seasons. All right, there we go. We have a ham loaf ready for family dinner.